The Mikel Moreno to Arsenal deal continues to stall. David Ornstein has provided a striker update, and I personally believe it's a matter of time before Arsenal are linked with Raheem Sterling, or we actually attempt to sign him, as it's been made abundantly clear by the Chelsea manager that, the former Manchester City, Liverpool, and current Chelsea man is actually not in their plans, people. Big up you lot for tuning in. As we know, the transfer window is rapidly closing. We've got until August the 31st. The football is back on a playing surface, but nonetheless, rumours keep continuing, people. Arsenal have also been linked with Garcia, a backup keeper, potentially if and when Aaron Ramsdale completes either a move to Wolves or wherever on a loan or permanent basis. Big up you lot for tuning in. Don't forget to smash the like button. God bless for all you lot support. Let's crack on and get straight into, why you're all here and why you've all clicked on the title of the video. Now, you would have seen Eddie Nketiah. He's been someone that's seen as someone that is going to move away from Arsenal this summer. It looked like he was going to go to Marseille. That hasn't happened. In the last 24 to 48 hours, David Ornstein and many other journalists have spoken about potentially Nottingham Forest signing him, and also Santiago Jimenez, people, final or one of the two. David Ornstein has provided an update, people, 2 hours ago at the time of making this video. Nottingham Forest close to agreeing Eddie Nketiah transfer fee with Arsenal, which is obviously music to our ears, provided the deal goes all the way through. For Eddie Nketiah, he's obviously going to join a team where he's going to have more importance. For us, we get money that can be reinvested into the football team. I think I speak for every Arsenal fan where we say, provided nobody left last season, everybody that was here last season in an attacking sense stayed, we could still make a case of a wide man and a striker. And I think, everybody would want that. As a minimum, you would imagine to follow with David Raya's deal being made permanently. Calafiori obviously coming through the door. Hope that the Mikel Moreno deal eventually is concluded. I personally think we leave the striker stuff for another 12 months or so and focus on a versatile attacker, probably more so on the left, but somebody of, that's like Trossard, who can play across the front three. Now, Eddie Nketiah, as we said, could be joining Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest are close to agreeing a fee with Arsenal for the transfer of Eddie Nketiah, while talks also progress on personal terms. You also saw some rumours coming through that Eddie Nketiah is not keen to take a wage cut, which obviously indirectly means the contract we gave him could cripple our ability to move him on. But at the same time, I don't think Eddie Nketiah has to take a wage cut. Obviously, it has to be adjusted. And yes, there is logic behind that. But, if you left your job and went to another one, do you want to make less money? And at the end of the day, he's got bills to pay. I know people say, oh, there's all this money in the game. Eddie Nketiah is within his rights, especially if they want him to, I assume, sign a 4 to 5 year deal in his peak ages of 25 years of age. The Athletic reported on Monday that while Forest have seen an opening bid worth 25 million, including add-ons rejected, having identified the England forward as their top target to bolster their attack. Now, when I see words like top target, progress on personal terms, close to agreeing a fee, I'm happy. I think Eddie Nketiah needs to move on. I've said I think fans treat him harshly, but the man does need to move on. Arsenal are apparently looking for a figure more in the region of 30 to 35 million, and negotiations continue as Forest pushed to bring Nketiah to the City ground. As we know, the move to Marseille didn't happen. Crystal Palace have been linked with him. Eddie Nketiah has done well to progress from Haylen all the way into our first team, be here for a couple of years, win an FA Cup, get capped by the country, and be sold for 30 odd million. It's a success story in itself, people. It's not all plain sailing for Eddie Nketiah because Nottingham Forest is a big club. It's a Premier League side, but you've got experience, Awonyi and Chris Wood to compete with, people. And there seems to be a growing British contingent at Forest. You've obviously got Nico Williams, you've got Hudson-Odoi, you've got Morgan Gibbs-White, provided Nketiah walks through the door, so on and so forth. Apparently, the East Midlands team have also explored a move for Santiago Jimenez, although their approaches so far fall short of what it would take for Feyenoord to consider a sell, and the Mexico international has not agitated to make it happen. So, for whatever reason, whether it's agreeing a fee with Feyenoord or, Santiago Jimenez's apologies, willingness to depart the football club for Nottingham Forest, their loss could be indirectly Eddie Nketiah and Arsenal's gain, people. So we'll have to see how that develops. Moving away from Eddie Nketiah, I'm sure everybody is tired of speaking about Mikel Moreno. It's nothing to do with you. We all want you, but it's dragging and dragging. Gundogan's left Manchester City, about to leave Barcelona and re-sign for City way before we've completed this move, people. Mikel Moreno has been training separately from the Real Sociedad squad as he edges closer to a move to Arsenal. Football London understands it's understood that personal terms have been agreed while the two clubs are close to agreeing the fee, which we hope draws a conclusion, people. As I was saying on the Eddie Nketiah front, apparently Forest sent an improved bid to Feyenoord, and that they're still working on a new proposal. The other name on the shortlist is Eddie Nketiah. So I would say if we go off David Ornstein, it seems like Eddie Nketiah is more likely to sign for Forest than Jimenez. If we go on what Romano has said here, we can't count our chickens before it hatches, people. So we'll have to see. Fingers crossed. Allegedly, the Sociedad president is in London today to negotiate the final details of the Mikel Moreno move to Arsenal. So where Moreno, in terms of incomings, Eddie Nketiah, potentially Reece Nelson, Aaron Ramsdale. Hopefully we get a move on. And before, literally in 10 days' time, hopefully we look at Arsenal's squad and we truly believe beyond the obvious that we're stronger in our pursuits of Premier League and trophy glory, people. Again, if this would stop freezing and we could see exactly what's being said there. Allegedly, we had an offer in excess of 30 million euros for Moreno turned down, reports in Spain are saying, people. Apparently, the president, once again, is in London to push through this deal. Apparently, he's pushing for a 40 million euros package, which is 35 million plus 5 million in add-ons, in which Eddie Nketiah's deal pays for itself. For Sociedad, from a fan perspective, I don't really care because he's 28. He's got longevity. He scores high for tackles, aerial duels, can play as a 6 or an 8, brings high and all of that sort of stuff. I don't really care about the price tag. But if I look at everything, credit to Sociedad if they do get that for a player that's got 1 year left on his deal. For Arsenal, arguably, nobody cares if you do the business, but we might have been taken to the cleaners there. We'll have to see. With favorable payment terms in brackets likely split across 4 installments, negotiations have proven slow, but confidence agreement now in sight. So finally, not finally, we hope we can put to bed where Mikel Moreno and Sociedad are concerned and focus on how he'll tie in on the tactical front, people. Again, keeping up the theme with the president of Sociedad, allegedly he wants to ensure Sociedad get the greatest reward for the player, and that is why he's personally flown to close the deal with Arsenal. His intention, once again, is to get 40 million euros for the Spanish midfielder and would be willing to accept a payment in installments in order to get that figure. He accepts it's a high one, given Merino has a year left on his deal, but there is clear belief the Gunners can be talked into it, which again, Edu's going to have to show his negotiating hand. Maybe again, while it looks like Moreno's the top target and will get him done, maybe Edu has to play a bit of a game and show them we'll walk away. As I said, if he does the business, who cares? But for a player that's got a year left on his deal, allegedly is enticed with playing for Arsenal, personal terms are not an issue. The manager and president have also come out and said he's more or less gone and he's done. We are getting taken to the cleaners, really. And I think Arsenal will be happy with the deal, but Sociedad would more so be happy. Again, publications love a think piece and whatnot. We know Moreno, beyond the obvious, brings height and physicality, people, and he would apparently likely operate as an 8. So does that mean Declan Rice not only moves from that left-hand 8 experiment and moves over to the 6? We need different partnerships with Partey, Jorginho, Declan Rice and Moreno. There's different ways of playing. You can go 2 6s or 2 8s or various denominations of such, people. Moreno won more duels than any player in Europe's top 5 leagues last season. He also ranked first in La Liga for tackles in the opposition third, and he's also earned a reputation for being a monster in the air, both in attack and defense, which our set piece gaffer will love, people. No player in La Liga last season recorded more than his 124 flick-ons. He's good in defensive duels and scored a towering extra time header for Spain during the Euro semi-final against Germany. And we all know he's no stranger to the Premier League, having not been known for his time at Newcastle, but spent time. And beyond the obvious, that's probably a bit of a chip on his shoulder to want to sign for Arsenal and put a bit more respect on his name in this country. Apparently, he said during his time at Newcastle, I love running. If I finish a match and I'm not exhausted, that means I haven't given 100%, and that would be wrong. Now, running for no reason seems to be favoured by a lot of fans, but that is music to my ears. You have to go on the grass and compete, not only have the ball and do tiki-taka like they say in Spain. If you only think about having the ball, you're not as good as you are if you work on all parts of your football. Music to the ears, beyond the obvious, people. And at 28, obviously he's got a number of years left in him, but there's a sense of urgency. Arsenal have been linked with Ademola Lookman, and so have Liverpool. I wouldn't mind him at all, but it does seem like Paris Saint-Germain are the front runners for his signature. Again, we've seen Ajax, we've seen Wolves all linked with Aaron Ramsdale, allegedly Bournemouth, which Aaron Ramsdale has history of throwing their hat into the ring. Obviously, Arsenal's preference is to move him on. I don't know if Bournemouth, will use that 65 million they got for Solanke or whatever they have left, because they have signed the forward to sign Aaron Ramsdale. We have heard Arsenal apparently want the majority of his wages covered and also a 5 million loan fee. I don't know if Bournemouth deem that value for money. We'll have to see. There's no way in God's green earth I can pronounce this individual's name, but he is a goalie and he's been linked with Liverpool and he's been listed with Bournemouth there. Now, crucially, Aaron Ramsdale isn't the only name on the list, but if we assume Bournemouth, Wolves, obviously Ajax all have an interest. Hopefully, there's a resolution over Aaron Ramsdale's future, people. Keeping up the theme with goalies, we already know we have a verbal agreement on personal terms with Mr. Garcia of Espanyol. I've actually done a scouting report video, so turn on your notifications and make sure you're aware of when that releases, people. Garcia says Romano, Joan Garcia is patiently waiting for Arsenal to find a solution for Aaron Ramsdale as personal terms are agreed, but Arsenal's first step will be Mikel Moreno. So a bit of a Spanish revolution. As I said at the start, I think it's a matter of time before Arsenal are linked or try to go for Raheem Sterling. Apparently, he's keen to leave Chelsea in a permanent transfer. It's been made abundantly clear by their manager, you don't have a future. He's expressed a preference to leave on a permanent basis. Also been linked with Aston Villa, but he's on 300 bags a week. Again, maybe he has to adjust his wage demands. Maybe a club is willing to pay. But for someone who's 29, not the Raheem Sterling that if you type in YouTube compilations, with the rebuild at Chelsea, and I'm sure they want to get back to being trophy winners. He's won a lot of trophies, not seen as a good player in that regards. Is it a good return on investment? Apparently, he trained away from the club on Tuesday and Wednesday and has also been given time off. He was also left out the matchday squad. And also, they've got Pedro Neto, João Felix, Christopher Nkunku, Mikhail Mudryk, and probably more players than I can count that are seen as wide options. Maresca has said, I'm not saying Raheem is not a good player, but I prefer different kinds of wingers. Which fair enough. And also Ben Chilwell is training away really and truly. So we'll have to see. Different wingers. I wonder what that means really, but I guess we'll see in the time to come. And he also said, I've been honest, he'll have no minutes here. I'm not saying Raheem is not a good player, but I prefer different kinds of wingers. It's simple. So Raheem Sterling just not his cup of tea, really. So we'd have to see. They're officially, him and Chilwell officially out the project. You'd imagine their futures are being sorted, sorry. Raheem Sterling apparently accepts that his Chelsea future is over. He's now open to listening to proposals from other clubs, but will not be forced into a move he doesn't want. He's even willing to lower his wages if an exciting project is presented to him. Been linked with Aston Villa as well as Juventus. And at 29, could it be time to have an adventure away from home? I mean, it's not, it's a short stay in his return from London. Obviously, he's a London boy playing for Chelsea. It's been wrapped up there, but this is what comes with being a professional footballer. City have reached a personal agreement with Gundogan over signing him on a free transfer from Barcelona. I knew we weren't getting Gundogan, but I had a small hope that we could, people. And you just look at his passing, his shots, his carries into the final third. The 33, 34-year-old would have been perfect for a year or so, although it's naive for me to expect, a 30-plus Partey, a 30-plus Jorginho, as great as he is, a 30-plus Gundogan, a 28-year-old Mikel Moreno. They're all quality players, but there's not really longevity there, so it's probably naive. And you know what? Going back to City isn't the worst of things for Gundogan. Pep is keen on bringing him back, so that can put that to bed. Kingsley Coleman was linked with us, people. This is said, whilst Kingsley Coleman is not set on a departure from Bayern Munich this summer, there does remain the possibility with the Bundesliga club open to offers for some of those on significant wages. Him, Sane, Gnabry, Goretzka, even Joshua Kimmich to a lesser extent have all been linked with moves away. Should we actually go for Kingsley Coleman? If you could get him on loan, if you could get Sterling on loan, if you could get some of these players on loan, who wouldn't be against it? And we're also, a lot of Arsenal fans are asking about Chiesa. Keeping up the theme with players that are at our football club, as you know, David Raya, William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Declan Rice and Odegaard have all been named in the PFA Team of the Year, folks. It's a bit weird that Cole Palmer's not in the 11, but fair enough. And you do wonder out the front line, Watkins deserves to be highlighted. Haaland's Haaland. And, you could have put Palmer in for Foden, really, but there you have it, essentially. So, yeah, credit to the boys who did win stuff. Only in 03-04, which was 6, have Arsenal had more players in the PFA Premier League Team of the Year than this season with 5. You could argue Bukayo Saka deserved to be there, but, we're never going to have that. Or Benjamin White. Thiago Motta on the Chiesa front has said, our position has not changed. He's not part of our plans. We have spoken. It's a sign of respect to have for everyone. Transparency, clarity. That is the way I communicate with my players. So he's going to have to sort something out. And he's actually still linked with Barcelona. Barcelona, ironically. Wolves did make a proposal for Aaron Ramsdale a few days ago. If you haven't been in the loop, people, that hasn't come anywhere or anything has come of that. Arsenal are set for another midfield departure as apparently Charlie Patino is about to leave. Deportivo La Coruña have agreed a deal worth in the region of 1 million to sign Charlie Patino on a permanent transfer from Arsenal. The deal also includes a sell-on clause. Now, it's a bit like Norton Cuffy to get 3.5 million from Genoa for a player that's played 100 odd times. To get only £1 million in the sell-on, that just tells me we're on a fire sale thing. Yes, he's got 1 year left on his deal, and we probably knew he wasn't going to renew it, but you know, if Charlie Patino with his loan spells, if Brooke Norton Cuffy, if Mika Bereth, even though where Bereth's concerned, it was a record fee for the club that bought him, you need to get more money. And we need to do better in terms of the contracts, where you look at Waters, who's gone to Luton, Kolja Dewberry's gone to Brighton. That could have been a minimum of 10 plus million gone out the door. So we do need to get a bit better at the players that are in the under 21s that aren't quite going to get a look in the first team and getting great money that can be reinvested. Ultimately, I know technically we've got 20 plus million for Smith Rowe. You're going to get 30, 35 million for Nketiah. Those are success stories. You've obviously got Iwobi and Balogun and Joe Willett. But for every one of those examples, a club like Arsenal with a system like Haaland, for a club that wants to be self-sufficient, one just wonders, had we been able to sell these guys for decent fees, how much could be reinvested in the football club to help us with more immediate targets or ceiling raisers? It's easy for me to say. I don't know all the dynamics at hand, but for Charlie, I wish him all the best. You know, he's one of the first footballers to let me interview them. Go and check that out a few years ago. Great lad, great mentality, good player, deserves to go somewhere where you can set up shop. And obviously La Liga, I think, is really tailored to his sort of game. Ironically, plays for England at youth level, or has played for England at youth level. I think he's actually been called up into the 21s, but has got Spanish heritage. So a bit like Miguel Aziz, who was once at the club, right up your street. So with that being said, people, let me know your thoughts on the Moreno deal, why it's stalling. Do you think we'll actually go for Raheem Sterling? What do you make of Charlie Patino and Eddie Nketiah's departures? Would you go for Kingsley Coleman? On that note, stay safe, stay blessed, smash the like button, check out the other content. Peace.